My name is Joyce Mbui. I'm a partner in the corporate department at Bowmans.
I'm Vruti Shah, a partner in the M&A and projects team here in Nairobi.
Bowmans is an African law firm. We have offices in various countries across Africa, and we really offer the full range of corporate services that a company would need during its lifetime. In addition to the corporate work that I do, myself together with my colleague Vruti Shah and the senior partner at the firm, Richard Hani, head up restructuring and insolvency practice at Bowmans. Restructuring is really about organizing the affairs of a company so that it runs more efficiently and effectively on the operational side, and so that it performs better and has a healthier balance sheet. It's possible to restructure companies that are solvent and perfectly healthy, and companies that are in financial distress for one reason or another. And so restructurings can be done in various ways. It's possible to do it in an informal way, through a consensual deal with key stakeholders. It's also possible to do it through a formal method, either under procedures under the Insolvency Act or under the Companies Act.
I think restructuring in Africa and specifically in Kenya over the last 4 to 5 years has really taken the spotlight for a number of reasons. One of them is the key need for ease of doing business in this region. The certainty that investors require in respect to insolvency has really led governments to look at their legislative framework and update it to meet the global standards. In addition to that, with COVID recently, we've seen an acceleration on this matter, specifically around companies looking at options they have where they're troubled, and two, where companies have really done well in the COVID period, they're looking for efficiencies to look at that. We talked about earlier the restructuring framework and the law that allows companies to have breathing room, just what you talked about two minutes ago, Joyce. Specifically around the statutory processes that are available and that have been brought into play. It gives distressed companies opportunity and breathing room to really turn around their companies. And with respect to opportunities there for companies that are solvent, I believe that restructuring is going to make them more competitive in this global market. Basically, the whole restructuring arena in the last few years has really grown to allow companies to have a breadth of opportunities, tools in their arsenal to really release and become competitive in this market.
The major challenge has been a cultural one, where companies need to act early so that they can get the benefit of the restructuring tools available in the market. They also need to understand what the benefits of restructuring are and why they should do a restructuring, and they need to put aside the stigma sometimes associated with some of the formal insolvency procedures like administration. Of course, with those formal procedures, there are cost implications. So we've seen that become another challenge, whereby depending on how early in the process the restructuring is considered, the formal methods may be the only option available, and they can be very, very costly. The other challenge, I would say, is really the buy-in from stakeholders, whereby the market has not matured to the point where restructuring is commonplace, as in other developed jurisdictions like the UK, for example. So there's a lot of buy-in that's needed so that when restructurings are being done, the time taken to complete them is much less, because the parties understand the tools and they understand the benefits of the restructuring.
If I may add to that particular point, I think the other thing we've recently seen a lot more of is because of the lack of understanding of the process, we've seen a lot of creditors or stakeholders going to court for injunctions in relation to restructurings that are taking place. And that goes back to your point, Joyce. If the market was well versed with restructurings, understood the benefits and really the power of it, then the whole scenario of doing a restructuring would be very different.
That's true. And I think what will help with that is to see some success stories, a lot more success stories, so that people realize that restructuring is actually intended to be beneficial in the long run for the company.
If a company, took the opportunity early and was able to put in place a restructuring plan, whether consensual or statutory, really, what does it mean for both a solvent company and an insolvent company? In my opinion, from a solvent company perspective, if restructuring is done well and consensually, which it would be in the event of a solvent company, you will most likely see the benefit of it from both operational efficiencies and the balance sheet and cost efficiencies. I mean, this allows a company to grow into other spaces or grow and mature whatever they're doing currently, and become really more competitive in the global market. With respect to restructuring specifically around insolvent companies, what next? I guess one of the key things that has to be done as part of the restructuring process is, once the plan has been implemented, really to keep an eye on the matters that are being implemented, to ensure that they are working as they were tailored to work. And if it was a consensual plan, making sure that all the checks and balances are in place. Of course, as any restructuring plan would have, those things would take time to be implemented and efficiencies to be seen. But for the restructuring to have worked, it would allow the company to get into a solvent position in the time period that they envisaged.
Yes, I completely agree. I mean, for a company that's insolvent especially, rescuing it is really a large part of it, because it can only thrive if it survives. So I think there are a lot of opportunities for restructuring in this market, especially, as Vruti said, in light of the impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. Because of our one firm approach, we are well positioned to assist our clients to achieve local and cross-border restructurings in Africa.